Hello and welcome back to Clockwork Dandy Noodles, the channel where we continue breaking down this amazing anime season that we have been gifted with from the gods. Hello and welcome, I am Becca, back with you guys on the road to recovery finally. You guys have no idea how long those files were when I had to cut out all the coughing, cut out all the spluttering. It's cool, we're getting there now. If you have just found me, hello, welcome. Make sure you are subscribed. I've got a gift going your way very shortly, guys. I am working on a half point, a mid-anime season review, where I am going to tell you my top 3 anime of standing halfway through. Of course, this will change in my final overall review because endings happen, animes drop the ball, animes go really, really good unexpectedly, so anything can happen. I'm going to give you my top 3 as of that moment. This is going out in about a week's time. I'm going to give you my top 3 OPs, my top 3 EDs, and there's a few EDs that I can't stop playing. One in particular, so it's definitely going to be number 1 on that list, but can you guys work that one out? But hello and thank you guys for your support. Let's get back to it. So make sure you are subscribed. There is a Discord if you want notifying whenever videos go up your way. This week, I actually have a very short script, but there is history to discuss. There are 2 historical cases I need to talk to you guys about. So we'll be able to make it a little bit longer by talking about the history. And there is a lot of history in this particular arc. This is more my episode. This is what I've missed. I think a few people noticed that last week's episode was a little off mark for me. It wasn't the best for me. But this week, we are back on it. I love this stuff. I love the nitty-gritty. We're getting to it. But guys, let's kick it off. We are on Phantom of Whitechapel Part 1. And we're going to start straight into it, going up with a red moon. We've got a red filter symbolising danger. There is danger in the streets, guys. Danger is lurking this time. Funnily as well, the little link there with the red moon then going straight to the red light district. Nice little linking going there. But yes, we are finally addressing it. I wondered if it was going to come up because it is a huge mystery from the Victorian period, an unsolved mystery, may I add as well. We are talking Jack the Ripper, a case everybody across the world has probably heard of, many of you guys too. I would be shocked if there was someone out there who did not know about the Jack the Ripper cases. They were violent, they were gruesome, and they were the talk of the town because nobody knew who they were. There are some disputes over whether Jack the Ripper was actually Jill. There's a lot of people who actually fall into that rank, but I think I discussed this with someone recently, actually. One of you guys, I'm pretty sure I discussed it recently, my thoughts on the whole Jack the Ripper case. I personally believe Jack the Ripper was a man, and due to the way that the bodies were, I'm not going to go too graphic because YouTube would probably slam down like a heavy brick on me, but due to the way that the bodies were found, I believe that it was a man of standing, a man who had medical research, medical knowledge to brain. At this period of time as well, another series of crimes, shall we say, medical crimes were going on. You guys might have heard of grave robbering, grave napping, people going around working for the scientific institutes, going around kidnapping bodies. There's a lot of media movies you can check out if you're interested in any of this, and there's some pretty good ones out there. I've had a look into some of them. It's a really gruesome period of time, but it is a fascinating research topic if any of you guys want to kick it off and go and research them. I would say if you are not quite a age, or if you're not so good with squeamish things, maybe not the case for you to research into, because the way some of these bodies were found are really truly terrifying. Yes. For our Moran fans out in the audience, to be fair, I do have to admit Moran is a good-looking man, and he decides to bear it all for us this week, and I am so happy he's bearing it all because this week is definitely a fun moment for Moran. We get to actually see Moran, a bit more of him. It's been a while since Moran, Fred, our boys took the stage, but I think this anime is definitely trying to apologise to me personally for not showing me my precious Bean, and my Bean is here, okay? I get half an episode to admire him, so let me have my moment, guys. You Albert fans had your Albert moment. It's time for me to appreciate my Bean. My Bean is here, I'm so happy, and he is a man of progression, a man of, I think, who would go very well down nowadays. He does not see a problem with allowing a man to dress in a man's room. I agree, Lewis. Fantastic. But oh my goodness, it's the reverse trope, guys. And I think there's a lot of fangirls who would do anything to pin Moran to a wall. I have to admit, I really enjoyed the first half of this episode a bit too much. But William and Lewis are very progressive and accepting, so we're going to give the men a medal. Mr. Bond is now desiring to be seen as a man, be called a man. Therefore, this channel will be, from this point on, using the male pronouns to describe Mr. Bond. But it's a tad concerning seeing William falling asleep, overworking himself, being overtired. I do hope that there's no underlying health issues on that one, because that's a little concerning. But rest in peace, Moran. It's definitely not going to be Moran's episode this week, as you don't piss off the stabby Bean, okay? My Bean does not like being made angry. He's quite stabby. But it's definitely not his episode, poor guy. But the interactions between him and Bond is absolutely hilarious to watch. Moran in a top hat looks gorgeous. Had to give it to the man. He does look really good in a top hat. Interesting note that the bowler hat was actually the most popular hat to be worn during the Victorian period. Top hats mainly used by the rich for outings to the theatre, upper class events. But I do think it works with Moran because he is heading to the bank. So there are quite a few upper class men also wearing their top hats to the bank. So it works. But a nice little note about how popular the bowler hat was. I have a top hat. I don't have a bowler hat. Bowler hats don't look so good on me. The anime definitely trying to make it up to me. I wonder if I can forgive you, anime. I might. My Bean looking very, very good this episode. But nice accuracy, showing the guys waiting in the parlour to wait for their safety deposit box. This is very accurate of that period anyway. The way the bank is set up as well, very, very accurate. But nobody move. This is a robbery. And the use of the word bollocks. Yes, hooray for the British slang. Yes, this is a word that we would use. There's been a few times that the English hasn't quite been... It's more like fantasized English where they'll be like, oh, they must say this a lot. They don't say that a lot. They say bollocks a lot. This is a word we do use. I use it occasionally. It's great. But this is indeed a test. A test to see Bond ham in action. And I love the use of the very extreme camera angles during the breakdown, during him trying to work out what are the options. It is very good. It seems to represent the differing angles he's trying to approach the situation with, trying multiple angles. Moran, you are definitely a heartthrob, my boy. But it is great to see him and some of these lasso-covered characters getting their moments. I still really do want that Fred breakdown you guys mentioned. But I definitely love the solution they come up with. Shooting out the lights, making that secrecy, allowing that Bond to move under cover of darkness, and using the muzzle shot just to provide light to allow that impact, allow the combat situation. It's smooth, it is seamless, it is very impressive, and passing the credit to the Yard as well. I love it. It's great, and it's nice to kind of deflect the situation. They're trying to deflect interest from the Moriartys. You can see this making the front page as more a headline for the Scotland Yard rather than anything else. And it's because nobody else saw anything, this also works in their favour because they all believe that it was indeed the work of the police. It is a small mission, and obviously it is arranged by our boy William, but it is great. It's a fantastic chance to spend some time with these characters. Now, let's meet a new character, a character I couldn't identify this character initially in the credits. Now I can identify him. We are introduced to Jack Renfield, and there's definitely a link here to Moran and Watson due to this soldier link. He is the real Jack the Ripper. Obviously, the fake Jack the Ripper this arc is our target. But this is Jack the Ripper himself, the real man, who actually didn't go around attacking lower class. But this is a very interesting introduction to Jack, because we actually get an added piece of the puzzle for the main plot, the main storyline. What happened after the fire? And it turns out that our trio ended up staying at Lord Rockwell's estate, and this is where we met Jack. So Jack, after his time in the army, came back and decided he wanted to spend quieter days as a butler. And Jack with the badger hair is actually really, really nice. I like that effect. I do like the kind of silver fox thing where, especially in more like aging men, they kind of get the silver streaks. It looks nice. I like the way it looks. Where, I'm sorry guys, he really gives off Kenny Ackerman from Attack on Titan vibes. And anyone else who's Attack on Titan fan, please, you've got to back me up. Does this guy not look and kind of act a bit like Kenny Ackerman? Even with the way he's got the harnesses on his leg as well. Looks a little bit like Kenny. He is our teacher, our mentor figure. We needed one at some point to help everybody survive. How do we kill a man? Truly terrifying. Where he taught our boys combat and defense. There's also hinted at a Fred and Moran link. Is this perhaps the missing skipped arc that some of you guys were talking about? Because there's definitely a link here between Fred and Moran, but we don't know a great deal about Fred. And adding to my point earlier, 100%, I told you guys that Jack the Ripper case was completely unsolved. The police never really got anywhere. And because of this, which we see in the actual anime, the mistrust in the police was really high. Like, people did not trust them whatsoever. The police were seen as incompetent. They couldn't work out who was killing innocent people. So the distrust by the police, which we see here, we see them literally clashing in the streets. It wasn't really to this degree where people were clashing. There's another event we're going to talk about later where this happened. But people did not trust the police in this time period, and nobody felt safe. So people probably would have felt the need to carry around arms because it would have made them feel safer. So it's been a while since we've seen our boy Lestrade. We're going to talk about the Scotland Yard really quickly. We are introduced to Arterton, I believe his name is. Arterton has decided that we're actually going to be chasing the citizens who are absolutely terrified and deciding that they wanted to defend themselves from a serial killer, instead of actually, as Lestrade puts it, protecting the citizens and focusing on finding Jack. At this point, if you are targeting the citizens, you are letting Jack win. And we can see that Arterton fears an uprising. He fears that armed citizens are gonna lead to something more, lead to civil unrest, lead to a uprising, such as Bloody Sunday. So we need to talk about Bloody Sunday now. Bloody Sunday is linked to the Irish unemployment due to the coercion in the government in Ireland, the uprising, and it is pretty bad. And in Irish history as well, it's a very dark moment. But it really was an uprising of about 30,000 people who were protesting against the unemployment levels, the coercion in government, all in Ireland. And it was a time where the police, the army ended up clashing with the citizens. There were around 400 arrests. Most of the protesters who were actually protesting in this were indeed peaceful, but there were 400 arrests and there were 75 injured during these clashes. There were some clashes around Trafalgar Square, but it is very, very scarily similar to a lot of the more modern events going on right now, where a few of you may have seen in the news that there's been a lot of incidences of the police clashing with protesting this year. So it's quite scarily similar, the fact that we're seeing it in the anime, and it's very, very scarily similar to things which are quite hot topics now in the news. Many rioters were injured in the clash between the two. There were some quite nasty cases. The clash between them as well, it's been debated on how violent the police were acting during these riots. So during most of the official reports, they would just say that the police were using light force. However, according to the reports of the protesters who were actually there, they do tend to say otherwise. So it's one for you guys to definitely research if you are interested in it. And it does seem that Arterton doesn't really care for the lower class. His idea that the women can continue being killed, he doesn't care how many die. I think he's definitely setting himself up to square off against William, his morals. If those two were to meet right now, I don't think William would like him very much. So we end on a red filter because danger is lurking out in those streets. William says as well that he actually says Jack the Rippers. I don't think he's quite correct here. He thinks there's multiple. However, due to the actual evidence surrounding the cases, it is more highly likely it was one man. And this is mainly due to the killing method, the method that these women were killed, and a lot of similar traits, like a lot of them were having their wombs removed. Try not to be too graphic. There's a lot more to it. I'm just trying to keep it light. Definitely a case I implore you guys, if you find interest in it, definitely go and research it. There are some very interesting files out there. There's quite a few good sources actually available to the public as well. So definitely go ahead and check those out. Make use of history, guys. I absolutely adored this week's episode. It feels like a throwback to season 1, because I know this is going to sound bad. I definitely prefer season 1 to season 2 right now, but this could change things. Some animes dropped the ball. I definitely think you guys should check out the video when it goes up. It's going up in about a week, just to see the standing and how things change later down the line. So I'll give you my mid-season rankings and you can see how things change at the final overall rankings. But definitely enjoyed this week's episode. I love it to bits. We are setting up a mystery. We're back focusing on the Moriartys instead of Sherlock. If anything, we're trying to prevent Sherlock getting involved. And it's great to see a new character who we're going to be working alongside, trying to find the mystery to Jack the Ripper. How is the anime going to handle this? Because there is no answer to who Jack the Ripper actually is. We don't know. Still debated till today. And it may forever be a cold case that we never get an answer to. Really actually love this week's episode. Not just because Moran is topless and pinned to a wall. Not just because my bean is in it. It's a really fascinating throwback, and it's got a lot more of those themes that I love Moriarty the Patriot for. Cannot wait for next week. I really can't wait to see how this case builds. Really excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.